Hey yo, G Dash, boy, take your hat off. Fine. This week on Hats Off with G Dash Jones. Hey. Ooh. What we doing? What we doing? Hey. Woo. You see what I'm saying? I'm keeping it light today. I'm keeping it air. We got a new time, y'all. It's your boy G Dash Jones. Let's. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy G Dash Jones. One of these episodes of Hats Off. Woo! All right. It's your boy G Dash Jones, live with another episode of Hats Off. Y'all know what it is, good people. This week we have it's a Delaware Music Network episode. Say what? Yes, once a month we dedicate an episode to the features from the Delaware Music Network, right? Especially the the artist of the month, right? So that's who we got. So we got the amazing, the phenomenal, extremely talented, multi-talented Gretchen Elise is on the show today. Okay? Now, when I say this, just so y'all know, right? Things that y'all should know about this episode, right? The Delaware Music Network situation. Because we had open mic jam session. What? Yes, yes, yes. And when we had the open mic jam session, Gretchen Elise was she was the main she was the main feature. But shouts out to Monero. Listen, he hit me with that with that reggae in the system. You know what I mean? Shouts out to Monero Music Fire. Shouts out to D Harv dropping his originals, right? Oh man, give me some space. It was a vibe. All right, all right. Also, got to give a shout out to my man. Uh, they call him White Tiger Lover Boy. Okay, that's how I know him as G West. You see what I'm saying? But listen, he was up in there rocking out. It was a dope episode completely. So, shouts out to that. Also, understand the opening song was called "Champagne" by an artist named Callum. Now, Callum is going to be live at Finnegan's. I'll be hosting that one towards the end of the month. Check that out. Also, I got a competition towards the end of the month. I'll put the dates in the thing, a little poetry competition, spoken word situation. It'll be on this app, so I'll put the information in when I post this episode as well. I'm trying to make sure I get everything, and of course, G Dash update your calendar. If you want to know what's popping for this weekend or next weekend, go to my page. You'll see a situation where I say, "Hey, G Dash, update your calendar," and I go through all of the local and some of the virtual events in such a poetic form, y'all. It's just gonna feel good to your soul. Okay, that's what we gonna do. All right, now with that said. Now that I got y'all cut up, now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring up the guest for today, right? That's right. We're going to have a conversation. It's time for me to have a conversation with the one and only. If y'all don't know who Miss Gretchen Elise is, you're going to learn right now. Right? She's going to come on up and we're going to tell you. Now, as a jazz singer, right? The vocals is amazing. Crowd participation is just almost unheard of. Right? Just something different, right? And we're gonna take you through all the things. When I say all the things, I mean all things Gretchen Elise. So go ahead, Gretchen. You might have to request that box for some reason. It's acting up for me, so you might have to request that box for me one time. Let me see if it lets you add yourself up. We're gonna get you up here. Hey, there we go. So we can, yeah. There you go. You with me, Gretch? Let me see. Or am I frozen? There we go. Oh, there it is. Bam. And when I say that, it's going to be such an amazing moment right here. Look at you. Hey,
Hey,
guess who made it? We in the vibes now.
mic
How you
check.
feeling?
Mic check. One, two,
Oh,
1, 2.
Lord.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, could you hear me before?
Yes, yes. I have I wanted to make sure you could hear me.
Yeah. All right, how you feeling?
I feel excellent. I
That is good.
feel like
Listen,
your vibe and my vibe are like working in tandem.
that's a fact. Sometimes it's a wavelength energy. You dig?
You got the fedora phenomenon. I got the like 1950s piano in the back here. You
Right.
know, it's
Where
working
are
for me.
you? Do you have that piano? Is that piano just at the crib?
Yes. Yes.
Wow, that is a vintage situation.
Yes.
That's
It's awesome.
dope. Do you play?
I play enough to compose, basically, but I don't play to perform in public with piano. No.
Okay, okay. Let's slow down. Let's back up. Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
What's going on, world? My name is Gretchen Elise. You can find me on all social platforms at Gretchen Elise Music. I mean, you're watching me now, so you can see my tag in the chat, so I don't have to spell it out for you, right? But usually I do. It's a long name, Gretchen Elise Music. Um, I'm a singer. I live in West Philly. I'm from Delaware
Hmm.
County.
Okay, okay.
County.
Yeah. Delco,
County.
Delco. From DE Elco.
Yeah, correct, correct, correct. Last night we were in the Delaware mix, so I tried to fit in with.
I think a lot of people from Delaware ain't from Delaware. So we got a lot of transplants in here, so
Yes.
it's pretty normal, pretty normal.
So
So so
I'm a singer. I write songs. I lead a band. I do some production. I'm really leaning into the singer performer side of myself lately.
mm, how would you describe your music?
I would describe it as jazz soul or jazz pop.
Mm,
This is a marketing challenge that I've had with all my past releases. And because I really blend genres, but iTunes makes you pick, you know, National Songwriting Competition makes you pick. So it's somewhere in between jazz, soul, and something else. Um,
almost a fusion of sorts.
it is definitely a fusion. And um, so I think there's going to be a hyphen in it no matter what.
I dig it. I dig it. Do you think that now I'm curious, do you think that it's the being forced to choose in its own right is almost intentional versus being able to add a comma, they make you add a period?
Well, I guess it's intentional. I'm part of the sales universe that wants to categorize things. And I think
Mm,
once you are a gigantic name like Janelle Monáe or Andre 3000, then you could do whatever the heck you want and people will tap in. But until that point, you do have to somehow figure out how you're going to market your stuff. If one of my songs goes to the reggae playlist and one of my songs goes to the soca playlist and one of my songs goes to the straight ahead jazz and one of my songs is in neo soul. So I'm trying to focus for my next set of recordings. But as you saw last night, I threw down a blues, and I guess the other two could kind of be neo soul or something.
wow.
Jazz
Okay.
ish, could be contemporary jazz
Yeah,
if I'm
it's a
clever.
vibe.
So the opinion of the people on shows like these really matter to me because what you classify it as, seeing me live, hearing my recorded stuff, which I put in all my reels, is very valuable to help me inform my next steps. To be honest,
Okay. So now just to take it back, how did you wind up in the music world? Like how did you wind up in this creative space?
very good question. I was originally into movement. I was a gymnast and I was competitive gymnast all through college. And then um, I kind of got the mess. Had some injuries, and I had always done music. Like as a kid, I had piano, and I was lucky to be in a public school that had a really good music program. I did bell choir and choir, and I started choreography when I was about 16, started getting paid for it. And that was all about the music and about being able to listen to the timing and to figure out where things go. Um, so I was on a path to do a dance career actually, and then I had a bunch of injuries, and I just kind of heard the message that time to change tack. So I went back into kind of the music passion that I had started writing songs when I was little, and it's just been kind of layer by layer of exploration and learning ever since then.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So when did you know that professionally what you wanted to do was make music? Like that hey, you know what? This thing, I want to be a part of this ecosystem, right? All the foolishness, Rule 4080, music industry is shady. You know what I'm saying? What made you say I'm gonna sign up to this? Like I really want to play. I really want to play in this arena.
You know, I think it was never an intentional strategic plan. It just was organic. It was like, I'm writing songs. I need to perform them. I need to experiment. I need to learn arranging. I need to learn another instrument. I started out on guitar composing. I did a little mixtape while I was laid up with a knee injury. I held little salons in my parents' house. I was laid up. I had to come back from Berlin, where I was living, to get to do knee rehab. And so I had these poetry song evenings. We kind of refashioned my childhood room in my parents' house in Delco, and that started it off. So it was kind of never a question. I think it became an explanation point when I went back to Berlin. You're really you've got like the fishing hook and you're pulling it out of me. These are stories I probably never even told. I went back to Berlin and I was working a bunch, and I didn't have time to do music, and I literally had a mental breakdown. And through that, I really learned I need, for my mental health, I need to have time and space for music in my life.
Oh.
So I've crafted my whole life basically around how to do that, how to still pay my bills, how to finance an original music career.
Mm. That is a talent in itself. Because you paying for bands, you paying for instrument like musicians
Well,
to,
eh,
to
I
play.
mean, yes. The for my first two recordings is completely instrumental. I did some post production, Digital Performer, Pro Tools, and some of the tracks were built on the last. I know we got a lot of musicians on the line, a lot of producers. Shout out to all the musicians and producers on the line. Um, but most of it has been real instruments and real arrangements. And I always had the model. Actually, my voice teacher, who taught at Berklee College of Music when I lived in Boston after Berlin, she kind of set the model: have another job that you enjoy, um, and be good at it, and subsidize your music, your original music career from that income. So that had always been my model. So I always have had another, not just a day job, like a career. Like I worked in education. I've been in nonprofit arts education realm, doing a lot of community work for years, and only and that model kind of worked for me to a certain point. And then only with the pandemic, when I was laid off, um, I made the decision to really go more full swing into kind of freelance music, um, freelance teaching, workshop basis
And
type of
then you
thing.
start pretty much combining the passion at that point.
Yeah, I'd say I kind of like focusing on the music performance end, because I really do love working with youth, and I really do love teaching, and it feeds my soul. It's an exchange. So it's not like I was just putting up with that type of work in order to do the thing I really want to do. Um, my
Mm.
aunt
So almost like
my aunt in Norway taught me. she has a saying which goes something like, "You can't wear all your jackets at one time." And so right now I'm really trying to wear the artist, performer, musician jacket and trying to make sure,
Mm.
you know,
Make
fits
sure
and
it
yeah.
fits. I get it. I get it. So now I'm also curious when you look at it and you look at kind of what you do, you know, finding that fine space because it sounds like, and forgive me, let me know if I'm wrong. It sounds like the music keeps you grounded and music keeps you balanced, but kind of pouring into people in the educational space in the educational way also kind of helps you kind of thrive. It keeps the passion going. It's almost like seeing the new thing that lives in the space that you've already lived in. It's like always having a new toy, essentially.
Wow. I never thought of it in terms of the newness, but yeah, there's something about the energy that I get from kids, that I get from youth,
Okay.
that brings me out of myself. So I kind of get away from whatever is spiraling in my adult head, and kind of it's just this exchange of energy, and that's what I find therapeutic, honestly, about working with
Wow.
kids and youth.
Right, right, right. And
And it's even like I came out with this. It's also an idea exchange. Like, you're constantly learning, and if you're performing, last year I was working with these kids and um a songwriting project, and they wanted to know about all these things about me. Like, I'm showing them my daughter's gerbil pictures, the things that I thought that they would connect to. They kept going back to, how long have you been writing songs? How many songs have you written? What happens when you start writing it? What happens if you don't like it later? What, like, they made me examine my artist self and kind of get my ducks in a row, and how I explain what I do. And they had the same input in terms of lyrics when I performed with kids. There's a song, I keep mentioning soca. I wrote kind of a soca jazz song called Wawa. And if anybody can Google's right now, you could Google Gretchen Elise, or you can just Google Gretchen Wawa. Tell me in the chat if you found it, because I think it should come up. I did a video, a professional recording and a video filmed actually with Delaware resident Hezekiah. He was the director. He was living in West Philly at the time. Um, and I took that song and sorry, I keep losing my AirPods. They don't like my ears apparently. And um and I took it to the kids, and the hook is like, wake up and jump, wake up and jump, get your coffee, wake up and jump, wake up and jump, wah wah, wah wah. And the kids are like, wake up and jump, wake up and jump, get your bagel, get your bagel, get your shorty, wah wah. They already were giving me feedback back, like, hey, you could, pitch it like that or pitch it like this.
wow. So the kids were almost helping you write the song.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
that
dope.
in that sense, that was after I'd actually published the song, but that was just an example of how kind of that type of exchange with
Happens.
those third graders. I was doing a career day, and that's when they came up with those lyrics. I was like, oh, let me put that into my pitch next time I email Wawa.
Right. Right. Now listen, yeah, because gotta have a listen, they need to have a you. That's what they need to gotta have a you. How about that? All right. So
Yes.
now I
Yeah,
gotta
I
ask
literally thought of that. Wake up and jump. Wake up and jump. Got to have a wake up and jump. Wake up and jump.
you
Wawa.
better you better call. I don't know who James H. Wawa is. Personally. I don't know if that's his first name. I assume his first name
Apparently
is
he's
James.
not. Apparently he's not feeling Soka because they
Well,
passed on it.
well,
I did get to the executive
uh,
table.
uh, really? So
Hmm.
wait, back up. I love for people to be able to learn on this platform. How were you able to how did that happen? How
Oh,
were you able to pitch to
I'm still learning. Um, every day I'm learning. I talk to I talk to people. I talked to Asia Graydon from Kindred, the Family Soul. They live in our neighborhood. I talked to some advertising people I met at a family party. They gave me some vocabulary. I talked to a lawyer, entertainment lawyer, who I know who's on the board of a nonprofit I used to work for, and she gave me some pro bono advice. And she said, "Oh, you got to get in through the back door." they're never going to answer your email. You got to show up at a Christmas party and find out who's who and who can get you in the ad agency. So I did that. I went through some paths to find some people and then dropped some names in the subject headers. And pretty soon I got the woman from the media company who outsourced it then to her creatives. So it went like to two different agencies, and then they pitched it for Siptopia. I was not at the table, and they told me that it was declined because they wanted to stick with the standard music they already
Right.
had. And
No, but that's still super
but
dope. Like, because yeah, just to be a part of it, to get to the conversation, and really, here's what I took from it is you pretty much were able to utilize your tribe to get the information and to get the contacts to get to where you needed to be. Now I'm gonna zoom out a little bit from that same conversation. You know, what you said was you talk to people. You talk to people. Well, how were you able to find your tribe? Was that just your outgoing personality, generally just to randomly meet people, or how did you wind up building this tribe of people who you could come to, who you could have as kind of resources and that are open? Because you know people do gatekeep information. Sometimes people want to, no. So how were you able to build that tribe?
I just really love people. So I talk to people all the time outside my doorstep, on SEPTA, um, in the bank. Um, and I think if you approach things with a genuine feeling of exchange, then you get that exchange back. It's not like I went to this, I like the advertising guy just happened to be at a family party. I was like, oh, would you mind? Can I ask you a couple questions? He was talking about his work, whatever. I was like, oh, what do you call it when you send a proposal to somebody? But I didn't go to that party feeling like, with my fishing rod, like my lasso, like, I'm gonna get somebody who has information for me. Um, I think there's a lot of information out there amongst just people.
Right,
And
right, right. And you're
I also have a lot of networks. Like, I think if you are at work, like, what's your work network? What's your neighborhood network? What's your family network? If you have a family, what's like the parent network or your church network, or tap those.
yeah, you're not. I think a lot of times people, and at times artists, get afraid to utilize their resources that way, or get afraid to tap in. They don't want to rely on too much. They don't want to, or they're nervous to put themselves out too much. And they can be a hindrance when it comes to kind of finding your tribe and building that network group. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just speaking about the analog world as well, right? Let alone, I feel like I only actually started Instagram when I came out with the Wawa tune. I feel like social media provides almost like a limitless ability to connect with people. But I like it in most when it's like coupled with real, like we met last night in person, right? In the flesh, you can touch it. And then you follow up with keeping in touch online. Um, that is the easiest or the most solid to me. But certainly I met people online too. Just start following me. I start following them, like their art. Some of them
and,
probably on this chat right now.
and it spirals and spins into something that wasn't even imagined.
Yeah.
See, okay, so now I gotta take us back, right? Because I'm thinking. G, update your calendar. The week jumps with Ben Crump. Interview posted up. Wilmington Library, Still I Rise series. You stay home, the kids gone. Watch Rebirth podcast. They ask questions. Grown folks want to know. Don't sleep on House of Peach. April and Morgan are known to pour into your soul every week. See the Reef, sing, play, or speak your piece. Tuesday nights, rock, roll, and soul open mic. You like music of the African diaspora? Christina Cultural Arts has a concert for you. If you need a Valentine's vibe, End Zone is Gretchen's It for Course Meal, bottle of wine, Cupid Strikes, paint with a twist. The winter nights, Maya Bellardo was sending love and light, singing at the Dell Art Museum. You need dinner and love songs, yes please. Enjoy the night with and yours truly, Trees. See the Nomad Bar to get down with Harvey Road. Don't miss out, that's the dopest band around. Don't go out, stay home. It's Hats Off with me this week with the VP of Wilmington's JC. Then I'm hosting Delaware Music Network Live presents The Vibes of Callum at Finnegan's. Then Icons Got Valentine's, BBB, Maul the DJ, Hall of Love, Rhythm and Beats. You see Black History Month Saturdays, UAE, presented by City Fest with Isaiah Lee. Ultimate Pink and Red and White affair, full of comedy. Ty, Keith, Ken, Don, all at the Fire Company. Darnell Miller at the Queen going in. Year 6 anniversary of Jesus and Jameson. Open mic on IG. Poets Let Your Words Flow with Bonita Poetry and Tierra Nicole. Wanted to know what's going on? Well, there's your answer. Hit my inbox for sponsorship or to get your event on G-. Update your calendar. We done went to Berlin. I start thinking a road trip. But regardless, Euro trip. But so we done went to Berlin. But my question, and then we came out of it as a full-fledged musician, right?
Oh yeah,
Why
actually
were you in Berlin?
why?
Why were
I was
you in
in
Berlin?
Oh, so I was in Berlin because I've always been really interested in people. Okay, like I said, I am the uber extrovert. So building a network to me is like it's just something that just happens, and I just do it. I take risks and like you know talking to that sketchy person outside my door that might be a dubious situation, but come to find out, actually, he was in a soul band that was like touring nationally in the 70s. That kind of stuff happens to me because I just take the risk to be open. Um, so I was in Berlin because I was always very interested in people and what works and what doesn't work. Like I grew up in Delaware County. I went to the Chester Y to the gymnastics team. That place was great in some ways. I learned a lot of flips and stuff, but they were men like they'd bored holes into the little peepholes into the locker room. There was a lot of dubious stuff happening. Um, and it was very stark um, living situation for a lot of people. And Chester's had so many challenges in terms of economic sustainability. So I went to Norway when I was 9, and I remember asking my dad, like, Dad, like, why is everybody here okay? Like, where are the crazy guys that are trying to, get into the girls' locker room, like, and direct air traffic from out front? Like, why does everything seem okay here? And I pretty much learned they have a completely different political system, and they just have more of a democratic socialism. So they subsidize a lot of social things, and they don't have much poverty. They don't have much super richness either. It's kind of more like they do this intentionally. So that kind of planted the seed in my head when I went back to the Chester Y. Like, it doesn't have to be like this. These people could get help, if our system was just set up like that. So I wanted to study in a communist country just to check out, like, what is it really like? What do they really have going for them? Um, that I wasn't taught in school. Like, I was just taught propaganda in school. Like, that stuff is bad. Free market. So I studied in East Germany, and then I really liked it, and it was just fascinating. So I stayed for like 5 years.
Wow.
And just
Okay.
yeah.
How would you say that affected your art?
Um, it was very broadening because that's a big metropolis. Like I was in a it solidified my consciousness of how much of my sound comes from Philly, first of all, because you're over in this other country and people say, where are you from? And then you notice what you sound like and what you're drawn to, which is more jazz, hip hop. I was really in those realms. They're playing techno over there. I was like, I'm not really feeling this. But I was I just not, I just wasn't. But I really loved all of the opportunities I had over there. Like I was in a world music orchestra and I was playing like my first jazz composition was a swing tune and I played that this little ditty. It sounds like a Cole Porter tune, like an Ella Fitzgerald type of thing. You know,
Wow.
come to the moon with me. Up in the sky, we'll see how true our love can be. That type of thing.
Right. Well, hold on, back up. So, when you say a world orchestra, does that mean it's instruments from around the world or instrumentalists from around the world or both?
Both actually. So I sang that tune, but it was with these like an arrangement with these Bulgarian string guitar like instruments and a whole African drum combo from Africa,
Wow.
living in Berlin. It was a lot of international musicians.
Wow. So would you say did that lead to do you think that that kind of improved you as an artist just kind of because you were kind of honed in on you in your actual style while absorbing all these other things?
Yeah, I mean, it was great to have contact to all these more experienced artists and to see that, oh, my compositions, like this was my first jazz tune. I had just done this crazy mixtape at home that was more like singer songwriter ish with the guitar. But then I was like, nah, I want to be able to have a language I can speak with other musicians immediately when I walk into a club. So I decided to start learning jazz standards. So there was like a common language. But
Right.
to see that my compositions held up to have these different interpretations, like to be played like this or played like that, um, played as a reggae, played with Hungarian strings, African drums. I guess that was cool, and
Wow.
that encouraged me to keep composing.
I'm gonna tell you. So I just had a thought of inspiration. Right, my brain just did a thing. Right,
Mm.
because it made a correlation. Now, one of the and I don't normally say do this, but I'm gonna do it now. One of the things that I've learned in life is that math is a universal language. Like there are a bunch of different there are a bunch of different languages verbally spoken, but one is one universal, right?
Okay.
M- Melody in music is also a universal language
Ah.
for very similar reasons because it's a count, right? Whether it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's still a count. However you do it, the count
Mhm.
is the count is the count is
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
count. So melody in all languages is melody, right? The sound of a melody, the sound of a harmony, music in all language to a certain extent when it's that harmony and melody, kinda it does translate everywhere. Now, I mean, you saw it, you were a part of it, I would think.
Mhm.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah, I find I'm much more attracted to the groove of a song and the melody than the lyrics. So um, there's so many types of music that we can appreciate. We might not understand the lyrics, have no idea. Is it a sad lyric? Is it a happy lyric? But um, we just love how it sounds. So we listen.
Yes, yes. Okay, right. So now, right, you've been in all the countries. You've been a part of the exchange, as you say, the musical exchange in these spaces, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, so because you were at the Delaware Music Network open mic, how did you wind up there?
Um, Good question. And I'm just interjecting that I'm Gretchen, at least on all platforms, because I feel like if people want to tap in, while we're talking about this stuff, um, go for it. I'm easy to find. Um, I guess the connect was Joe Bellardo because
Hmm.
his daughter Maya is a jazz singer, and I got to know her probably like 8 years back or so, when I was part of this really powerful collective of primarily jazz singers, jazz to soul singers, um, called Diva Nation in Philly. And I see some hearts going up, and so I'm probably a lot of you on the line know Maya. She has an impeccable voice, beautiful spirit, and so we've kept in touch since then. That initiative kind of went off in a couple different directions, but we've stayed in touch, and I've stayed in touch with Joe, and you know, musical paths cross, whether it's online or in person. So he reached out. I think he's been just keeping tabs on what I've been doing, and he really particularly responded to how much I do in the community, and some of that is volunteer appearances or helping organize events. Some of it is teaching work, and there's an event I curate that I started to curate that's a local um, series. That was my first kind of curation experience last year at 40th and Baltimore in West Philly. And I tried to feature all ages music. Um, and I just got the contract to do that again this year. So that's going to be starting in May. So keep a lookout because it's really worth a trip up. Bunch of different performers and different types of performance as well, not just a straight ahead jazz series, but it's like I had Afrobeats dance one night, a teacher that I work with, and some different percussion things. And I had a 10-year-old rapper perform, Zay Money, 215 from North Philly, and his whole crew. Um,
Were they all 10-year-old?
no, they weren't all 10. Some of them were younger, but some of them were
Wow.
older. His parents are both DJs, so they both spun drum
Oh,
crew.
that's dope.
So I think Joe, so I post about all this stuff. So that's where the kind of the online presence is supporting um, what I'm actually doing in the analog world.
That's dope. Right. Okay. Right. So now, right, you're and I assume that the way.
Sorry. I have to. Can we take a 7th inning stretch? Because I just noticed that Couture Crochet is watching, and I had to put these pants on again because they were like, it wasn't really about me last night. Come on, it was really about. Let's see. Can we move this back? It was really about the fit. I
the,
have to
the
kind of
crochet pants.
like fit it into the window. How do I fit pants into a square window? There we go.
I feel like you got the pant there. You might not get the ankle, but you got the knee. Okay, a little bit of calf going. So I feel like
Yeah, I'm gonna tap. I'm by the end of the interview. I'll tap. Couture crochet is on the line. Um, this necklace is made by Art Mad Girl.
what now? And let me ask you that. Why is that something? Because I noticed that last night. It seems like it's one of the things that's important to you is to kind of shout out to uh those locally made brands, to connect with local people, to like, why is that important to have that connection and to promote um those type of artists and creatives?
I don't know. To me, it's like a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't I? I think it's like karma. It's like karma, and also it's collaboration. And I really thrive way more in collaborative situations. I think that I struggle the most with the freelance artist life because so much you're working on your own and you're kind of doing your own thing and making your own plan. And the more that I can collaborate, the more uplifted I feel, the more inspired I feel, the more I get different ideas. And it just improves the art in the end, as well as like my mental health, the mental health of the person I'm working with, our community spirit and our connection. So, um, that's probably the main reasons. But I know that there's a karma thing. Like if I'm giving positive support, I'm going to feel it back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm gonna tell you what's dope about that, right? In my brain.
Hey, speaking of which, um,
And,
that's me Spady just joined. Speaking of collaboration, he helped me out with some music that I was inspired by that He recently released. So
That's
yeah,
dope.
I think it's just it's again it's not a strategic thing. Like I have sat down and in my business plan, I need to further and promote collaborative engagements. Like no, it's just a human. It's an instinct for me, and it is something that I find joy doing.
So I'm gonna tell you what's dope about it and why it makes sense for you. So seeing you live, right? One of the dopest parts of a Gretchen Elise show, and this was, at the open mic jam session, what I saw, right? Now, you know, we up there, we Delaware Music Network. Now, shouts out to you. You came through in the clutch with a sound situation that helped us all out, right? Um, Now,
Yeah.
but one of the dopest parts of your energy, and it goes because you use terms like exchange, right? You use terms like karma and collaboration. When you use these terms, and then I see your live show, what you do in your live show, here's your thing, right? So I'm gonna tell people, if y'all ain't seen them, I'm gonna give y'all a horrible, okay, mediocre version of what she did, right?
Oh, you
So
know
at
what?
one point,
You start. I'm gonna get some props so they can,
yeah,
so they can like
yes,
see.
you get the props, and we're gonna talk about it. Why I'm gonna tell them why you get the props. So, first, now mind you, remember exchanges, karma, and collaboration. So first, she's having the crowd sing the hooks to the song, right? The crowd is saying I'm sorry. She's, hey, I did messed up today. I'm sorry. I just did it again. I'm sorry. You should probably leave me by now, but I'm sorry. Like that's how it went. Wow. So then, right?
You
Then,
remembered. So you remembered. I have it. I have a way. Yep.
so then after that situation, now mind you, she gave everybody out. Um, no, no, excuse me. Yeah, after that, she gave everybody cards earlier, right? So we all had cards,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Cards were
and
like that.
that gave me that gave me a reason to actually go up to all the people and introduce myself.
Yes,
I've never done this before. I've never done this thing with the cards before. That was new. That was like
really.
inspired by this whole.
Wow. So, all right. So she has her sticker on all the cards. She gives out the card. Then she has big cards, big versions of the cards,
Oh
and
yeah,
she
hold on.
pulls
I'll show you
people
that
up,
too.
right? She pulls people up to the stage with the big cards, right? Boom, right? And then as she's singing the songs, when you when she says the word from the cards, you get free merch. Like she's in there, hey, I did it, and just like a spade, bow, and then you hold up your spade card, and then she's giving you somebody's coming and give you and handing you the merch, or she randomly in the song says shine bright like a diamond. You hand up your diamond card. Whoever had to reach it up first then gets the merch. It creates a game while watching a performance in its own right. It made it a very interactive exchange, if you will, made a very collaborative process. Now the audience is all in on this whole circumstance that they're watching, right? And that made it a thing, right? And then this is what was one of the kickers to me. At some point, she's walking around giving out random milk bottles. Okay, random, just random juicy juice bottle joints. You know what I'm saying? You're like, wait, what is we doing with all of these bottle joints? Yes, yes,
Some of
and
them some of them are exquisitely decorated. Some of them are
yeah.
not.
You know what?
Some of them are not.
Shout out to all the exquisites that were being handled out there,
Yes.
right? So as she's handling it out, it starts off with and it gets louder because everybody's shaking. So like, cha-cha, cha-cha. That's when you know it's a whole hi hat. Like, what is happening here? Like in the collaborative room, because everybody got them, and when you got them, you gotta shake them. Like it just becomes a part of the and now we have crowd engagement like crazy from the collaboration in the karma, and it turns into its own little world. Why and how did you come up with like that? Like, what made you say, you know what? When I do this, like, what makes you want to be so important on that exchange, that collaboration with the audience? Like, everybody doesn't have that stage presence.
You know what? I love it. Like I said, it's the exchange. It's like it lifts it to a higher level. And I think it's why I really resonate with hip hop crowds. And honestly, um, that whole calm response is maybe something that exists in a lot of cultures, but it certainly exists in the African diaspora cultures, right? And
Wow.
that whole call and response and exchange and that whole instinct to participate and shout back and everything. I don't find that as much um, with just a straight singer songwriter type of crowd. It's a little more laid back, and I need that the same way that I said that I need the energy from the kids. It's like this is energy from all ages people, right? And it just makes it just it makes my message like louder and stronger, and then it gives them that energy as well. And I just knew that this Wilmington Public Library event um, would probably be a really good setting where it's actually focused. I find a lot of um, really positive experiences with a poetry oriented crowd recently. Poetry is new for me, but I've been going to a lot of poetry events or featured at some poetry events, and it's like everybody is listening. You can hear a pin drop versus, I love the music open mics, but um, I debuted that song "Sorry" over my own track that I actually just did quick on Logic on Monday at an open mic that I love in Upper Darby, but there was a whole birthday party that was happening, and I worked it. I sang. I got everybody to sing "Happy Birthday," the Stevie Wonder version when I got up on stage, and I kind of got them with that. But then they like wanted to keep partying, and they didn't want to listen to my "Sorry" song. They were kind of singing back, but I did grab them with that calm response a little bit. But that's the type of song you need to kind of listen to the lyrics to get it, to vibe with it. And now I think I meandered from your question, but I think that that interactive, I'm trying to remember how it evolved, but it's like all these paths are crossing. Like I had these mentors when I was living in Boston after Berlin that taught me how to make drums from recycled materials. Two really strong mentors. One was a percussionist, Sid Smart, and the other was an artisan, Bobby Brown. Not the singer, Bobby Brown, an artist. And they taught me how to make drums from cowhide or goat hide, and recycled tubes. And then I think I just evolved. Actually, here in Philly, I haven't done the drums again, although I still have a bunch in my apartment. Um, but I thought shakers is something that I can do that's kind of small scale and doable, like at a carnival workshop, at a performance. So I started doing these like before the pandemic, I think. Maybe I started to do it. I can't remember. I started to do them, and then I really like visual things as well. So I was just experimenting with these recycled bottles. And if I did them with kids or with adults right before a performance, then I felt that the engagement in my performance was like tenfold. People like, oh, I want to play my, call them up to the stage and be like, okay, bring shakers. Then you have your instant percussion section. And then I started to get conceptual about it and do designs that were based somehow thematically on like literally on I can go on and on, but thematically on something I'm doing. Like this was a unit with kids that fifth graders that were studying. We decided their two main issues were the war in Ukraine and Black Lives Matter. So we were kind of exploring how do those issues overlap, and then they were doing visuals, and it's like the search for equality. Well, Ukrainians, at least perspective, although there were kids in that class from all backgrounds. So you can never assume.
So let me just so my brain can compute. So that shaker specifically, right, was made by fifth graders. Okay, that in dealing with social justice issues.
Yes.
Interesting. So and I'm gonna tell you why that's interesting to me. Not just the fact. Yeah, I can see it. The peace sign of the Black Lives Matter, the Ukraine is there. What makes that shocking to me, to a certain extent, is it lives in a space of a pocket of, not only does it become that youth engagement of, you know, their social views of things, but then again, and I like this for the audience, if you're a performer, using props and things like that to create engagement is genius to me. It always is something that's going to grab the crowd. But then if you put something in the crowd's hand that's meaningful, then halfway through you performing, even if they mentally check out, and sometimes they're gonna check out, they'll start looking at what you gave them and being like, wait, what? Like, and it will then click into a whole different realm of thought that you've just inspired
Ah,
out of that audience. So now, like you used one exchange to create another one, if that makes sense.
that's interesting. I never really thought of it that way. These are just kind of like shakers that were left behind by somebody,
Yeah.
you know? I never sort of planted them in the audience to provoke conversation or thoughts about, but it certainly could. There's some pretty
I,
fascinating
I'm
stuff
sure they
in
do.
these.
I'm pretty sure that they do.
And I think I'm remembering back now, actually, when I think I started to do this when I came out with my first CD, and I was kind of testing out the songs in a lot of kind of R&B to hip hop open mics, and I was working with kids at the time, and we were doing instrument building, so I don't know, it's kind of like all fused together. And I started to hand out instruments then. And I remember a friend of mine who's actually pretty big right now in house music. Like he's a house music vocalist, or soul house, Lee Wilson. I remember him saying, like, you know, you have your thing. Like you you hand the stuff out to the people, and they love it. And they hand it, you know, they give it back, and that's your thing. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's my thing. So my challenge now is kind of, I'm getting to bigger stages. What do you do when you're like on this flatbed truck? I was in a festival last year, and the crowd was like 50 feet away. Oh, you know, you can't like throw one of these to them. You know, you might get pegged for assault when it lands on their, gives them a concussion.
I think that so here's my, in my opinion, and I might be wrong, but I do think that when you're in, okay, my opinion, just from having this conversation and seeing you and seeing your show live and seeing how hearing your story unfold, the universe works in your favor. The universe is putting things in your tribe. I do feel like you could be 50 feet away and throw a little underhanded dip, and somebody's gonna go, and they're gonna catch you. And like you're not yocking it at people. You're just, and they're gonna, and they're gonna shake it, and it's gonna become a thing. Like, it's not like things like that don't happen. It just gets crazy when people get in the wrong energy, right?
Well, yeah,
That's what
and
it's
I
doing.
think I need to just have more tactics to you know, study up to feel like what works with a bigger crowd, especially when people are like laid back. It's summer, like they're not getting up to do it. They're like in their lawn chair. They, you know, they're not moving. So how do you get engagement in that setting? It's got to be different. It's going to look different than when everybody's like, I'm 10 feet away from you and you're right here and I can feel your energy. It has to be through your music. It has to be somehow, um, it has to be different somehow.
So here's what I would here's what I would say. Even in those realms, even if they're late, it comes through conversation. You can make a big room with a large amount of people shrink the second that we start having a conversation in front of them, right?
If
But
it grabs them,
if
if it
if
grabs them.
if it grabs, so now you be like, hey, you, what's your name? Right? All you gotta do is be able to hear well. You said it was James. Okay, James, where you from? I hear you. Oh, you like the, and then you start to play to them in a way that makes it feel like, again, everybody's here, but it feels like we're this because now this became an intimate moment, right? And then the vibe just changes. It's a whole different energy, and
Mm.
that's when you are now you're in control of whatever they feel because now you're back, and all of those people now are just people who are watching this moment, and they're a part of it. So,
Okay, so the next flatbed truck situation I have, I'm gonna pull you up, and you're gonna help lead that situation. Okay,
let's go. I do it.
let's go. Okay.
I've hosted two things that I've wound up doing is between hosting Weed Stop, which is a large group of people, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're dispersed. Like I've had moments where I didn't see anyone because they were all in vendors and in campers
Oh,
and
right,
all
right,
throughout the campground. But if I said, all right, make some noise, I hear random, ah! I was like,
right.
okay, you're with me, even if I didn't tell, and kind of tapping into that. But then on the other hand, there are times when I had a wireless mic or the long enough mic for me to walk out, and then you know what? I can't be up here. I gotta be in here because it's gonna create the feeling that I want to create. So it all kind of comes into what can I do to create the most engaging moment for the people, because it's all about moments. If you can make a moment happen, it'll last forever. Like that's what they'll remember. Remember that one time when that girl gave us the shaker? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it creates the moment, and that's where the memory comes in. So okay, right. I gotta ask, because this is a dope conversation. Now this is a question I ask all my guests. For the most part, I like to ask this question: if you were a younger version of yourself, right? A younger version of Gretchen Elise, little Gretch. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
Little Gretch. If you had to give advice to a younger version of yourself, what would you give? Now, there's a caveat. The year is still 2024. So, again, it's a modern era. It's now. So there was a younger version of you, but the time is now. What advice would you give that person?
Hmm. Um, you have to like hum the Jeopardy theme song or something while my wheels are turning, my gears are turning. Okay, okay. I think maybe I would tell her to get some business skills.
Okay. Straight for the okay. All right. Why? Interesting.
I mean, because I know that little Gretch is gonna go out and get everything else. She's gonna learn like a million languages and dance all night and try a bunch of different careers and work on her music and um, just evolve. But kind of the underpinning to all that is to have your nuts and bolts solid. And yeah, not my that's not my natural inclination. And,
Mm.
and especially I look at artists coming up and kids coming up, 6-year-olds. I went to I had the last event I did was on MLK Day. It was kids in business event. Kids who had their own businesses were vending. There's supportive families around them, but there was one YouTube influencer that was 6, and
Wow.
she was there and she was dancing, and like they had their brands intact, they had their messaging intact, they had all of their designs around their branding intact, and that was just powerful. And I think that yeah, you can't go wrong when you have just that foundation. It's more
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's real. That's real. I listen. I love it. I love it. The reason why I asked this question is because I always feel like there's a little version of you out there who need to hear that. So, other little Gretch running around, ready to go, figuring it out. Whether you into dance, whether you into the music, learn the business. I don't care what you do. That's really a universal moment. Universal answer. Learn the business of
Yeah,
wherever you go, or
or learn business basics in general, like learn how to deal with your finances and learn how to add things up and figure out what doesn't add up.
facts. So you don't wind up lost or taken advantage of in those realms. All right. So this has been an amazing episode of Hats Off with G Jones. This is the February Delaware Music Network edition with the feature artist of the month, Miss Gretchen Elise. Now, I do a thing that you've seen me do, and you've seen, and I'm gonna post that clip I gotta post that clip because I did two. I actually did two collaborative pieces this week. I did one collaborative piece virtually. Shouts out to the poets Benita Poetry and Tierra Nicole. We did a collaborative piece online. I'm gonna cut that out and I'm gonna post it. It was fire. We did a thing, and then at the open mic, I did one in live, which I've never done that before either. With a gentleman by the name of Shouts out to Six God and excuse me, Seven God. So here's what me and Seven God, we did a situation where I started off the spoken word by having the world give me a word, and then I passed it to him, and then he did his thing, and then he passed it back, and I closed it out. So I'm gonna post that clip for the masses later. But every time I'm on my show, when I do this hats off situation with G Jones, I tell my guests, I say, hey, if you can give me a word, I'll give you a poem. Now, while you think of a word, here's what I'm gonna tell the people. Okay, so look out for G update your calendar. I post that situation once a week. It should be posted around every Monday, where I do a poetic recap, overview of all the upcoming events. Right, I make it rhyme and twist and flow.
Nice.
While I take you through all the events coming through within the week. It's only a minute and 30 seconds. So check that out. Also,
sorry to interrupt. That happens that you post that weekly?
Yes, ma'am. I post that every Monday. It's G update your calendar, and it's pretty much a reel of all the flyers of upcoming events. I make sure I sprinkle in a couple virtual events as well, and then different just local events in general, and programming. So there's that. Also, then I have I need everybody to know, live at Finnegan's. Shouts out to Cal. I'm hosting that. We live at Finnegan's. Callum is going to be up there. She's going to have her guitar. It's going to be a vibe. We doing the thing again, and now that's going to be on the third Friday, which is the 16th. All right, so come check us out at Finnegan's. That's a Delaware Music Network situation as well. Come check me out online. I'm in the competition on. I'm in the competition on the 26th. It's called Kings 526. You'll see it. I'm gonna post it, and I post it, whatever. So it's a little spoken word competition. I don't do those often, but I chose to do it this time. So y'all gonna see me. We gonna be outside. I'm gonna do some things, say some words. They're gonna rock out. It's a vibe. And then next week, hats off. My guest next week, if all goes well, my guest next week, hats off, is a friend of mine, actually, by the name of Dre Corbett. He's also now the vice president of the local JC chapter. So he's going to come in and talk us about this JC thing and what they're trying to do to help the community. So, that's what we talk about. With that said, Miss Gretchen Elise, do you have a word for me?
Oh, okay. I'm going to say flow.
Flow. Okay. I'm thinking. I was born on an ebb. Like when I say that, most people don't really understand what I said. But if I didn't say that, then when you met me and I told you what I've been through, you would feel misled. See, I was raised on an ebb. Okay, some would say, well, how did you get like this? I would say because I had to make sure that I adjusted my levels to make it throughout the dip. That's when it's real easy to slip, and a lot of people can't climb out of it. It gets that sick. I hope you understand this. See, see, I was rolling through the valley. No, not on anything fun, but it was a lot of times when it felt like I was rolling and I couldn't get up one, whether it was the mountain or the hilly ones. Either way, it felt so silly to act like I could even make it to the top coming from where I'm come from. Oh, now I know. A lot of times, those people who say that you can't make it, those who say that the way that you was raised, ain't no way that you can take it to where you plan on going. That vision that you have is something that they don't really be knowing. Therefore, they act like the seeds that you was making sure you was sprinkling around, there ain't no way you could be sowing. They automatically say that you can't take it to the top. They deny me of being water. Like they don't know that I stay flowing. Poem.
Woo! Wow.
Something light. Just take some words, put them in a basket, make a salad. All right.
That was good.
Thank you.
You killed that.
I appreciate you. All right. Is there anything you would like to let the people know before we get up out of here?
I would like to let you know that I'm really honored that you spent time on this flow, on this conversation flow this evening. And I would be even more honored if you just try to stay in touch. Follow me. My Instagram tag is obviously on this page, Gretchen Elise Music. I post all of my events there and my musings and inspirations. I also have a website, Gretchen Elise. So um, give me a beat. We can't do this probably. There'll be a delay, but I'll just give you my own beat. GretchenElise. Music. Music. Follow me, okay? You can follow me at Gretchen Elise Music, and you can find all my music. I have 2 original albums and a bunch of singles. The most recent was it's called Away. I'm featured on The Authentic, who's a Camden-based MC. So search for those. Listen, give a listen, and stay in touch.
Absolutely. It would be my pleasure. Thank you again for joining the show. The Hats Off Delaware Music Network edition for February. And thank everybody for tuning in. Like I always say, love yourself first and everything else will fall into place. All right? See y'all next week. I holla.